A Motor of Ghosts. Written and read by Evie is Evil. Chapter 8. Author's Notes. Did I write this instead of working on my midterm? No comment. I just looked at the last time I updated and realized I forgot to post this last Friday. My bad, guys. Here, have this chapter, and chapter 9 will be posted as it was supposed to this Friday. Reader's notes from me. Did I work on this instead of working on my final? No comment. Procrastination, am I right, guys? Anyways, on to the story. Jason was a little surprised that when he woke up again, the ghost boy, Danny, was sprawled across the foot of his bed. Well, his top half, anyway. He was sleeping amongst a bunch of half-completed worksheets. Did he fall asleep doing homework? That actually reminded Jason. He had questions on how that half-a thing worked. Did he still go to human school? Or ghost school? Did he age? Could he travel to the mortal realm? Just what was up with all of that? He was definitely feeling clearer today. It seemed a majority of the painkillers were out of his system. While that did bring pain, but Jason was used to pain. He would rather have pain than the fogginess of painkillers. He laid there for a bit, just listening to the soft breathing of the older boy. It was kind of rhythmic and soothing. He drifted, not really having much to do. After however long of drifting, he decided to entertain himself. He looked around before finding the button for lifting the cot. He sat himself up with the raise button and eyed the papers strewn on the bed. He bent forward to grab a couple, but found it difficult on his chest. Lying back, he contemplated how to get the papers without waking the white-haired teen, and without pulling any of his stitches. He settled for slowly pulling his blanket up. If he did it slow enough, it would bring the papers within reach, and hopefully wouldn't disturb his friend. He tugged, stopping every time Danny shifted, and eventually he had a couple papers in hand. Jason's fingers throbbed. They probably weren't healed enough to be gripping and pulling stuff like he was, but he had his prize in hand. Looking at the paper, it was some sort of reading comprehension worksheet. Jason recognized the book it was on, To Kill a Mockingbird. Only a few questions were filled out, but the answers were so generalized. To Jason, it looked like the writer had just made a guess at them. He looked over the top of the sheet at a sleeping Danny. That guy is getting tutoring sessions whether he likes it or not. He looked at another paper he was able to reach. This one was a geometry worksheet. Nothing was written on it except the date and Danny F. scribbled across the top. Well, he could at least keep himself busy with some math problems. He looked around for a pencil and scrap paper. He pulled the rolling side table over to his lap and put the worksheet down. There was already a pen on the table next to an empty clipboard, but he couldn't find any scrap paper. He flipped over the reading worksheet to find the back side blank. This will work. For the next however long, Jason worked through geometry problems. They were a little above his level, so he kept switching between problems. Only a few he was happy with by the time Danny was blinking awake. Jason looked up when he heard papers rustling. Danny was staring at him, looking a bit flustered. Sorry, didn't mean to fall asleep here. Jason just quirked a brow. Is this why you're failing classes? Jason can recall his own fair share of falling asleep working on homework. Working as a nighttime vigilante crime fighter didn't exactly mean good sleep, but he never let it get to him failing classes. He loved school. He wouldn't let a little sleep deprivation stop him from getting good grades. Danny eyed the paper and pen in his hands. Are you doing my homework? Jason just shrugged and passed the papers back. Not really. I'd rather you do them yourself. I just got bored. Danny stared down at the half-completed math problems on the back of his English work. Also, your reading comprehension is shit. Did you even read the book? Danny just laughed. That easy to tell? He started packing up the papers and shoving them into a backpack by his feet. He also reached into the backpack to grab a small stack of books. I brought these for you. Jason's eyes widened a bit. Danny remembered. I wasn't sure what you would like, so I grabbed whatever I had lying around at home. The pile of books was a mismatch of young adult novels to science textbooks on psychology and astronomy, and even a cookbook. Danny plopped the pile on the side table, and Jason immediately grabbed for them. He left the nonfiction alone for now, and looked through the fiction books he was given. One had the drawing of an orange cat sitting in the grass. Warriors, Into the Wild, the title read. Another was of two kids falling with a castle in the background. This one was titled The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. Both looked worth the read, not that he was picky. Jason just loved reading. The idea of getting lost in another world. He especially loved reading as a kid. Catherine had taught him, giving him some of her favorites to read. He oftentimes would have to read to ignore the hunger or his mom getting high in the next room over. It let him escape reality in a way nothing else did. If you like those, I have the rest of the series back home I can bring in, Danny offered. Jason looked up. He was really grateful for the books. They were going to be a nice distraction. Oh, right, I have a few questions. Danny looked a little surprised, but he sat up straighter anyways. Shoot. Could you explain the whole half a thing more? Like, you're a ghost, but you still go to school and live in the mortal realm? Jason asked. He was still confused. This guy looked like he wasn't human, except for the light show yesterday, but he also acted like a normal kid who went to school. That. So, yeah, I'm half dead, but also half alive. I still go to school and stuff. I live normally, but I also fight ghosts in my free time. And come here. At this statement, the boy switches to floating cross-legged, upside down over Jason's head. You fight ghosts? Like a hero? Jason asks, a little surprised. The jumpsuit on the ghost boy did look a little hero-esque, but Jason wasn't used to meeting many other young heroes that didn't have an older hero mentor. I guess you could say that. My town actually called me a menace for the longest time. Got the nickname Inviso Bill. Jason snorted. This guy definitely gave menace behavior. Jason paused, not sure if he wanted to share. I was a hero. Well, vigilante. He twiddled his thumbs, but saw the understanding look on Danny's face. That explains the costume. Jason looked up at this. Right, I was wearing that when he found me. Do you still have it? This was stupid. They probably got rid of it with how torn up it got. Of course, Danny yelped, startling Jason. We wouldn't think of tossing it. Clothes like that hold important memories. It's almost like a part of you. Danny tugs at his own jumpsuit. I died in this. While it doesn't have the nicest memories attached, I wouldn't dream of taking it off. I can't really explain, but it feels wrong to part with it. Jason kinda got it. It didn't cross his mind before, but thinking about it, he felt bare without the Robin uniform. Can I have it? My uniform? A sudden urge to just have those bright colors washed over him like a wave. He wasn't sure why, but he needed his Robin uniform. Danny seemed to see the panic forming in Jason's eyes. I'll go see where Frostbite is keeping it. He flits off before coming back with a neatly folded pile. Jason holds out grabby hands, snatching the bundle as soon as it's within reach. It's his suit. The red tunic, yellow cape, green shorts and gloves. It even had his domino mask. It's all in pristine condition. Jason suspiciously inspects the fabric, feeling the weight out and inspecting the seams. Your costume was a bit torn up, so Frostbite had someone repair it for you. Jason looks up at the older boy, then back down at his uniform. There doesn't appear to be any alteration marks, and he isn't even sure something that burnt could be repaired. Magic, Danny tells him, seeming to read his mind. I wouldn't think about it too much. Jason just sits there, thumbing the fabric of his suit. It felt like a part of him he didn't even realize was missing had clicked into place the second he got his hands back on his uniform. He didn't even need to wear it at this exact moment. It was just a comfort to have it. So, how are you feeling? Danny asks. Jason assesses himself. He was feeling a bit worn out, and definitely in pain that he only now realized he was ignoring. He hated how tired being injured made him. He hated the long rest periods with short wakeful ones. Kinda shit, he tells the ghost boy honestly, who gets a concerned look on his face. It's at this point that Frostbite enters. Jason sighs. He didn't want to deal with this now. Hello, Robin, young one. I brought more ectoplasm. Jason had noticed the drip was low, but he was hoping the doctor wouldn't come so soon. He huffed and crossed his arms. How are you feeling? Fine, Jason replies curtly. Danny gives him a look. I have some oral pain medications if you would like them. Something you would consider over-the-counter? Frostbite replies, reading Jason like a book. He thinks about it. On one hand, he wants to continue being mulish and refuse. On the other, his chest really fucking hurt, and he wasn't really in the mood to fight and argue. Jason remains quiet while Frostbite hooks up a new bag of ectoplasm. I'll take some, he tells the Yeti curtly. The doctor responds with a smile before shuffling off. Danny floats down to hover over his legs at the foot of the bed. I didn't think you would ask. Jason just huffs and looks down, avoiding his gaze. Good job, Danny praises before leaning down and awkwardly patting his knee. Jason blinks in surprise, the gesture reminding him distinctly of something Bruce would do. Frostbite returns with a bottle of pills and a styrofoam cup. The cup is filled with water and a straw. The doctor sets it down on the table before showing Jason the bottle. I'll be giving you 3 of these. He pours 3 out of the bottle and hands them to Jason. In 6 hours, I'll give you a redose. If the pain doesn't subside, we can also look into a higher dosage. Jason wrinkles his nose a bit, but swallows the medication without much hassle. In the past, he used to refuse even over-the-counter painkillers, but Alfred and Bruce had coaxed him into them over time. He leans back into his bed and picks up one of the books Danny brought him. He doesn't really have energy for much more right now, so he tries to get comfortable and settles down to read. Danny walked into school on Monday with a huge grin on his face. He had spent the whole weekend getting to know Robin. The boy slept for a good chunk, but the times he was awake, Danny really enjoyed. Walking into homeroom, he settled down in the seat next to Tucker and Sam. How was your guys' weekends? Tucker asked, as Danny plopped down his bag. Could have been better, Sam replied, looking tired, head resting on her hand. I got dragged to Gotham to the funeral of that kid. He was a real downer. I remember seeing him at a few galas. He was cool. Apparently he died in a car bombing. His family looked wrecked. Damn, that sucks, Sam. I'm sorry, Danny said in a reply. The grin he had worn previously wiped off his face. Death was always so surreal to hear about in their town. No one really knew how to react to death when it surrounded them. It's fine. I didn't know him well. They all looked a bit uncomfortable at the topic. Tucker spoke up, changing it. Well, over the weekend, I updated my PDA. The signal should be stronger in the ghost zone now. I can fix your phones now to work better as well. That actually gave Danny a great idea. Oh, Tucker, if I brought you my old phone, could you fix it up to work in the ghost zone? Sure? This weekend, Robin woke up. He's actually really cool. I think I want to give him my old phone. Danny gushed. You got a name out of him? Sam asks. Yep. He was surprisingly lucid, which is good for his recovery. Danny pulled out his completed homework assignments from his bag. He actually caught me doing my homework and offered to tutor me in English. By caught you doing homework, do you mean you fell asleep doing homework? Tucker asks, and both he and Sam snicker. Maybe, Danny admits, a bit flustered. His friends knew him too well. At least Lancer will be happy you actually did the assignment this time, Sam comments. Hey, I do my assignments, Danny argues back. Don't you have a C in his class, though? Tucker asks. I never said I was good at them. Danny turns his nose up and crosses his arms. Good thing you have a tutor, then, Sam giggles. Suddenly, the bell signaling the end of homeroom rings out, and everyone stands to gather their things. If you bring me your old phone, I can for sure fix it up, Tucker offers. Danny grins in response. And that is the end of Chapter 8. Author's notes. Were the books mentioned ones from my childhood? Perhaps. I want to give a thanks to my dad, who has been reading every update. He actually caught the missed upload, and I accidentally gaslit him and myself yesterday. My bad. Reader's notes? Not many, but I just want to thank you guys for listening. Bye!